Welcome to Seriously Seinfeld, the serious side of Seinfeld, by Rebecca Conrad. I'm Rob Gerard, your narrator. Insight on Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Julia Louis-Dreyfus's name will always be synonymous with that of Elaine Benes. Although she had other successful and popular roles, it is the iconic role of Elaine as one of TV's best comedies of all time that truly put her on the map as a stellar actress. As Seinfeld was being written and molded into what producers hoped would be a hit, the creators were presented with an ultimatum by the network. Change your male-dominant premise for the show or it's not happening. The role of Elaine Benes was written in. Luckily for us, Julia Louis-Dreyfus came along, knocking Megan Mullally and Rosie O'Donnell out of contention, as they had both also auditioned for the part. Poignantly, however, when Jerry Seinfeld met Julia, he knew the role was meant for her. The rest, literally, is TV history. She arrived on the Seinfeld set straight from the Saturday Night Live stage, where she was largely unhappy due to not getting enough airtime. Elaine's character was quite unlike any other on the air at the time. She was openly discerning about important topics such as sex and religion. She was somewhat self-centered, fitting in with the rest of the gang. Yet she had an intelligence about her, on par with that of her male co-star Jerry. She always strived for more. Better job, better apartment, better boyfriend, better friends, but it was never quite able to sustain it for long, a hallmark of a situation comedy. She could hang with the guys and never run out of things to talk about, and consistently defended her life choices, standing up for herself when necessary. Julia herself describes Elaine as ballsy. Julia embraced Elaine's idiosyncrasies willingly, bringing a funny, charming, and likable female character to the forefront of television. On top of that, she was a natural at delivering comedy gold through timing and wording, an important part of Seinfeld. As any Seinfeld fan will tell you, it was Elaine who started a dance phenomenon based on her dry heave, twitchy moves, which Julia is embarrassed about to this day and prefers not to watch. I would also be remiss not to mention her infamous phrase, "Get out!" followed by some strong shoving, which any Seinfeld watcher can instantly recognize. You don't have to look too far into Seinfeld blooper reels to come to the realization of the level of difficulty it must have been to get through a taping of an episode of the show, continually cracking up take after take. The one common factor was Julia herself. You can't really blame her. Imagine trying to get through a few lines of dialogue with Jerry Seinfeld or Michael Richards. Aside from remembering the actual lines, getting through the scenes with a straight face would and did take great stoicism and a sober mindset, both of which would be hard to retain on the set of Seinfeld. Although Julia was frequently losing it by looking at her castmates, her emotional attachment to them was strong. The characters may have driven by a complete lack of faith in each other, but the opposite was true for the four of them who had bonded so well. Larry David, co-creator, writer, and producer, never wanted the characters on Seinfeld to develop, learn, and grow from their experiences. Therefore, the storylines never resulted in happy endings for the characters, and perhaps locks another part of the Seinfeld puzzle into place for me personally, as I prefer shows and movies that do not tie everything happily together right before the credits roll. I wanted to see certain plot snippets left open-ended. I wanted to be left wondering if Elaine ever got the right socks for Mr. Pitt, if she eventually ran out of sponges, if she continued to worry that she would end up in hell. The predictable sitcoms where everyone is happy with their life at the end of 30 minutes do not have the same payoff for the viewer. This is certainly true for me. Like a great book, I would be left thinking about the people in the story long after the last page is read. These are people I know, people I wonder about. What situation will they find themselves in next? Between the creators, writers, and the actors themselves, Seinfeld delivered perfectly on this angle. I wanted to be left thinking about Jerry, George, Kramer, Andy Lane after each episode. Here we are, 32 years later, and I still think about them. Their storyline might be over, but on some level, it feels like it continues, and I want to revisit that from time to time. You cannot do a Seinfeld internet search without finding thousands of pictures of the very photogenic Julia, but my favorite picture of her is this. Taken on the final day of filming Seinfeld, the emotions Elaine would never convey are front and center for Julia. The finale was upon them, and the raw sadness resulting from that realization was perfectly captured by this photographer. It is such a stark contrast to the usually smiling Julia, and I think for that reason, it is actually one of the more beautiful photos of her. Julia states that she never realized the enormity of the show until it was over and was profoundly affected emotionally after the show wrapped. It is the little moments from the show that have stuck with her, more so than certain episodes. And it is the little moments compiled with the big moments from the 9 brilliant seasons of Seinfeld that will always make us want more. Rebecca. Thank you for tuning in to another blog episode of Seriously Seinfeld. Don't forget to join the Facebook group Seinfeld Fanatics and look for Rebecca Conrad.